The BOOcast synth of the month is... It's not a synth. The BOOcast synth of the month is the 1010music nanobox Tangerine.
Yes, the 1010music nanobox Tangerine. While its name may be quite a mouthful, this fruity little orange rectangle you could easily lose behind your fruit bowl joins the rest of the nanobox range, bringing high-quality sampling to the party. Boasting 48 kHz 24-bit stereo sampling with fully editable start, loop and endpoints, audio slicing, sequencing and time-stretching capabilities, this juicy little baby can play just about anything you throw at it. With 24-voice polyphony, up to 576 samples per preset, which can be up to 4 GB in size, streaming direct from SD card. Tangerine can clip launch, load multiple polyphonic sampled instruments, each receiving on different MIDI channels, and can perform automatic multi-sampling with up to 16 layers of velocity per note. At £400, it's quite a lot of wonga for such a small box. But, as you'll see, it's pretty amazing the amount of power that is crammed inside this little Tangerine.
So this is the 1010music nanobox Tangerine. It's a tiny sampler. Now I did a 5 minutes with for Sonic State with this a little while ago, and one of the negative comments that came up were, it's so small it can't possibly be easy to use. It looks horrible to use. It's actually remarkably easy to use. If you press and hold the home button, you get the teleporter, which it's like a tube map, which, like all the other 1010music nanoboxes, it takes you to all the important places you want to go. Like, for example, if you want to go to the reverb section, you can get straight there. Press and hold again, you get straight to the sequencer home. Press and hold again, you can get to pad macros. You can get to anywhere very, very quickly just by pressing and holding the home button. But once you are inside it, select this pad, if you click the... Well, first of all, if you click the left button, it takes you to the configuration for the nanobox. So you get control over the volume, brightness of the thing, whether the compressor's on or off, MIDI controls, global in, MIDI program change, everything, all this stuff that pertains to the global controls of the whole nanobox. But then if you go to the right in the pad, first click to the right takes you to the macro page. Well, here you get level. In fact, I'll just hit play so we can hear this drum. So you get level first. So there you go. Simple. Pitch. And yes, you can see the pitch is time stretched. You can't really go nuts with it. It does begin to break apart. There we go. And then the next button, you get the filter. There's a resonance control at the bottom. I'll just bring that up so we can hear a little bit more easily what's going on. So if we tweak the filter into the positive region, plus up to 100%, we're using a high pass filter here. And if we go into negatives, it's a low pass filter. So we've got access to two types of filter here. So yeah, what I would say is, although it's small and there are few controls, 4 buttons, 2 knobs and a small screen, it's remarkably simple to get around. All of our sounds and everything, sequences, edits, everything we do are held in the presets. We get to our presets by clicking on the preset name, and then we have a list and we can scroll through them. Tangerine comes with a whole bunch of presets. Some of them are, just to demonstrate what you can do. Okay, there we are, mini fifth. I'm going to load this. And there it is, it's loaded. So another one of the complaints about the nanobox is it is a little bit pricey, and I can't disagree there. I mean, £400 for a very small box does seem a little bit steep. And alongside that complaint comes the assumption that this must be a Raspberry Pi in a box with a touchscreen. What 1010music have said about the reasoning behind the price of this thing is that it has very high quality A to Ds and D to As. So we've got really good sound quality coming out. And you may not come across on YouTube, but I'm going to... So this is a sample of a mini Moog. And the first time I played this sample through the 1010 nanobox, I just want to impress upon you, it sounded exactly like I'd plugged my headphones into the back of my mini Moog. It has a certain amount of authority behind the sound. And again, okay, it's not a synth, but we can do some things to this sound. So let's go to the right, takes us into the macro page. Now here we have the filter. It sounds great. When it sounds all right, it's a digital filter, but I have no complaints. If we go into this configuration button, we can go down to filter here. And if you see, there are 3 boxes here. Now, every time you get these 3 boxes, if you click right, it's a modulation slot. So you can select modulation sources for that feature. So in the filter, we've got 3 boxes not being used yet. So let's go to source and we'll choose mod wheel. I've set the filter to minus 36% here. Let's turn it down a little bit more. Put it to minus 50. If you apply modulation to the filter, if it's positive modulation, up to plus 100%, that gets you into the high pass. And if you apply negative modulation, i.e. down to minus 100%, it's low pass. So what I've done here is I've actually put the filter at minus 50 and I've given the amount as plus 100. So we're crossing through the 0 amount. We got low pass and high pass there. So there's a little bit of stuff there. Anyway, back to configuration. So here we can choose the level, the pitch of the sample, the filter amount, the resonance in the filter, which can also be modulated, the launch mode, which gives us gate, toggle, which turns it on and off, which is handy for triggering loops. And then we get poly mode, so we can make it 2 notes poly, poly 4, poly 6, or 8, or X, which I think means the full polyphony of the Tangerine, which is 24 notes. Let's go to the envelope now. So I'm just going to turn the release time up. So I'm going to just do something here which adds a little bit of pleasant randomness to it. So we go random waveform, rate 0, depth 100, beat sync, restart on. And that should re-trigger with each note play. Go back to config, pitch. Let's give the pitch a little bit of LFO. So it's a little bit like the slop control on the sequential instruments or the vintage knob on a lot of synths. Just a little bit adds a little bit of movement. Oh, look, we've got modulation slots on the envelope stages, so attack, decay and release can be modulated by something. Let's modulate attack time, yes, with velocity. Let's go up 100. So now when I play the key softly, we get a soft attack, and when I play it hard, we get a quick attack. Although it's limited, we've got 1 envelope, we've got 1 LFO, hope you can hear that it is possible to do a little bit of fiddling with your sound, and actually with more organic sounds you can get more interesting stuff. This obviously is a sampled synth, so... Oh yeah, one more shortcut that I want to show you. The hamburger menu takes you directly to the mixer. So we got pan, put it in the middle, and we got level. Let's leave it there. One more press on the hamburger menu takes you to the effects. Bottom knob is reverb. And the top knob is delay. Press and hold the teleport button, have a look at the reverb. So The reverb we can turn, let's turn the decay up full. Pre-delay down. And turn the damping off. Let's hear how long this reverb is. And the delay, feedback set to 40%. Let's turn the ping pong off. I'll turn the feedback right up. So you can have the beat sync off, freely running delay. Although, it has to be said, as you can hear, it doesn't smoothly transition from one speed to another, which is a shame, but there we go. But I'll turn this on. So our delay time goes from, just quickly kill the feedback there. Our delay time goes from 1/64th to a full bar. So if we go back to our transport controls, take the BPM down a little bit. So now if I play a note, it basically functions as a looper. So while that's playing out, I'm going to load the 1010 Grand. So this is a multi-sampled grand piano. This is the real time. This is how long it takes to load. It's working. Oh, some of it's there already. Okay, just to show you, this is a volume knob when you're in the main pad screen, and that just selects your pad. But you can always just do that with your finger. So as you can hear, it's pretty nice, multi-sample. Can also sample your own. Now it's very easy to sample your own. You simply take the MIDI out from the nanobox and the audio in from your synth, and you tell the nanobox what to do. We'll do that in a second. Here's a sample I just did. It's a sample of an electric piano. There you go. As you can see, these multi-samples take a long time. So this is a 10 layered velocity, and I sampled about 4 octaves of the keyboard, and they're quite long. As you can hear, it's not bad. The great thing about it is it does it automatically. You don't even have to think. You just tell it what you want, and then it does it. And we'll do that in a second. So we've got multi-samples. So to sample something, I've just set up the Bass Station 2 here. I'm going to make a new preset. We go to Presets, then hit File, and hit New, and then we can give it a name. Boo! Enter. Select this. And then we go to the right, and it's ready to record. So here in the record page, we've got record input, where we can choose whether we want to make a stereo sample, left and right, or we can make it just the left or just the right, or we can resample what's already coming out of the nanobox. We'll do that later. So we'll just make this a mono sample. I'm going to adjust the gain. Length, custom. We can set the length of the sample to run in time with what's playing in the sequencer. So we can have it custom, which means it'll just stop when we want it to, or we can make it run for 1/4 of a bar, 1/2 a bar, 1 bar, 2 bars, 4 bars, 8 bars, 16. My God, it goes all the way up to 128 bars. So you can make a completely huge, humongously long sample, which will run in time with what's playing in the background. So for example, if I had a drum loop playing, I could play a 128 bar piece on the bass station, and it would capture it, and then it would go into one of those pads. I think we're ready. Let's go record. So now it should be ready to go. I'll hit C. That should be enough. You're now listening to the sample. I'll make it poly. Let's go back to the envelope and give it some release time. So that's pretty cool and nice sound. This is one sample, however. So if I go into here, make a new recording, I'm going to do everything I did before. We hit this 1x button, we get MX. That's multi-sample we're going to get. What we can tell the nanobox to do now is to play the notes automatically from the bass station, sample them as they come in, and we'll get a different note for each individual key. I've got a sound here. Not a great sound, but hopefully it'll demonstrate. If we multi-sample this, the LFO speed should say the same from the bottom to the top. In the multi-sample page, we have start notes. So this tells the nanobox which note we want to start with, C3 to C5. So we get 2 octaves. Sample every 3. So we can sample every single note between those 2 octaves. Every 2, every 3, every 4, all the way up to, well, every 16. So if we're not so bothered about every single key being individually sampled, we can miss a few out. And sometimes you can do that with like piano sounds and whatever. You can sort of fake it and it doesn't matter. Then you can reduce the size of your file by getting it to skip every so often. But I'm going to make it do every single one. And then velocity layers. Now this goes all the way up to 16. So what the nanobox Tangerine will do is it will play it progressively harder and harder. But this is such a simple sound, I'm not going to bother with that. I'm just going to keep it down to 1 layer, so there'll be no velocity layers. And then all you do is hit record. So it's done it. So there's our sound, and now it's polyphonic. It's a great way of turning a monosynth into a polysynth. So that's really good in itself, but if you think about it, there are so many things you could do here. So I'm going to multi-sample this. And now it's going to sample each of these sounds. Each of our presets as we make it comes with a sequence built in, along with all our samples and our loops and clips and everything. So if I go into the sequence, we'll record. Yeah, okay. So now we've got a little bit there. So we've only got 2 sounds here. How interesting. I'm going to take this pad here, go into record, and then we go to resample. Let's make it do record quantize 1 bar. Let's record 1 bar. So here we go. I'll just stop the sequence. So now we have both of those copied onto here. So we can use that as a clip now. By doing that, you can effectively turn this thing into a looper. You could literally do multi-samples on each of these of different synths, get them all receiving on different MIDI channels, get some kind of MIDI merge box, and then you could have several different instruments all plugging into this and playing their individual, separate, polyphonically multi-sampled, up to 16 layers of velocity instruments. all from this one little box. That's quite impressive. And also, if you don't mind spending the time, what you could also do is, with each of those 16 velocity layers, you could put a different sound on. You could put a different attack time or a completely different sound. Every time you press the key, you get a different noise out of one of 16, depending on how hard you hit it. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Anyway, that's the sampling. So, yeah. We can do another sequence here. We've got this all set up, ready to do one bar. So now we stop that. So now we've got those two bits. I mean, they're pretty rubbish, but it's just to demonstrate that now we can clip launch. As you can hear, I've recorded it really badly. But there you go, there's two bits. Remember, these clips can be very, very, very long indeed. So you could have an entire song with the various bits of the structure going together. It's a bit annoying though, isn't it, with these little pads? Time to pull out a slightly more appropriate controller. So here's the MPK Mini Plus. It's got keys and it's got pads. It's also got pitch bend and a mod wheel. Lots of controls that you can assign. A joystick for some reason, but it seemed ideal for the nanobox. I've dropped the Moog 5th sample onto here. And now we've got just two pads with the two clips. So we'll start one. And we can very easily just play along on top. And then. So this is loading some clips. It's also loading a piano in. Those clips I just made were basically resampled from within the nanobox, but you can also chop up any songs you have into verse, chorus, bar, middle eight, whatever, and drop them in as clips. And the nanobox automatically detects the tempo of those clips and just fits them in. Not only that, you can put in clips of different lengths, so you can have things evolving and changing over time. You can have different length clips sort of playing and looping and tripping over themselves quite nicely. So I've got a wobbly. So this is the 1010 Grand. It's quite lovely. It's so yeah, I've got velocity attached to the attack time. And the LFO is giving a little bit of tape warble there. And there's a little bit of delay and reverb. Quite beautiful. But I've also dropped in an old song of ours. I'll hit play. So these are all literally lifted off the computer in clip form. You can tell it whether you want it to be a clip, a sample, a slice, or whatever you like. Now slicing is interesting because if we go into slice, it analyzes the whole clip and you can basically move along the waveform and split it wherever you like. Better still, let's choose a drum part. So we're going to slicer, we go forward, you can select the three buttons and we can go scan and it'll automatically slice it according to where the beats are. In the position button now, which works with slices, we can tell it what to do with those slices. So we can do a slice sequence, go forward. So you can hear what it's done there. The 1010 nanobox Tangerine, and my God, what a long mouthful that is of a name, and what a tiny little orange piece of plastic it signifies. However, I think it's rather good. Now, it is quite expensive, so that was by no means a comprehensive overview. As I say, as far as I can tell, the manual hasn't been published yet, so I'm still going off very scant notes, but it, yeah. I think you can tell it sounds quite nice. So I'm going to play you out with this. So I'm launching clips here. Let's go again.